Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
After hearing if I'm going to grill you and rake you across the coals, I'm very happy to see that you showed up. So
Absolutely.
Come on, scoot in just a little tiny
Just a little bit?
Yeah, there we
Okay.
go. Okay, I notice you have a pin on, and that looks very official. I mean, it looks like the United States seal of some sort.
It is.
So tell me about that.
I actually picked it up in the gift store at the House of Representatives when I was back in Washington. I participated in a fly-in, what they call a fly-in. It's a legislative caucus. I was a government affairs chair for the American Rental Association, and went to the gift store there at the House, in the House office buildings.
Well, it looks very official. I like it. Nice touch for your run for Congress.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm 53 years old, married, have 2 children. My son graduated from college. He went to St. Mary's College in Moraga, and my daughter is currently a sophomore at the University of Alabama. And so my wife and I are in our 25th year of marriage, and we're empty nesters, and I don't know if we're doing well with that, but you know, it's a good thing though that my kids are able to get on with their lives.
Now, when I talked to you, I don't know, it's been a few weeks now, I asked you why in the world would you want to run for any office, let alone Congress. It is not easy to run for office. I mean, you've got the walking piece, and I see you walking here. There's that. There's the expense. There's the volunteering of your time, almost having to quit your regular day job to do this. And then there's the raking over the coals. How are you going to fare all of that? I mean, this is your first time of running for office, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
That's correct. My personal experience has been being a small family-owned business owner, and you know, we keep on electing people to send them back to Washington, D.C., and it seems like once they get into that Beltway bubble, they forget why they were elected and who elected them. And because the House has a 2-year term, they immediately start re-election time, you know, so they're running for re-election all the time. And still the problems that affect us locally continue. And in Stockton's case, we have a disaster right there in front of us. We have a city that's in bankruptcy. We have a city that is the 7th most dangerous city to live in America per capita, according to Forbes magazine. And all the while, I've been running a small business there. And I have to tell you, it's been a challenge. It's been very, very difficult. And there are times when we struggle to make payroll. And my wife and I have you know, significant challenges because of overregulation, no representation, no congressional representation in our district whatsoever. You know, being a congressman is more than being a parade waver and a handshaker and a baby kisser. It's about knowing about the issues and really affecting people's lives within the congressional district. That hasn't been happening. I'm running against a congressman who's seeking his 5th term in office. And still, the problems exist in this congressional district with no jobs, high crime, and today, currently, we have very little vocational opportunities for kids in high school. These are some of my central issues.
Tell us a little bit about District 9, because I believe that it encompasses Escalon.
A portion of it. It's mostly the northern portion of Escalon, out near the dairy farms. But the city itself is in Jeff Denham's district, and but the dairy farmlands north of Escalon are in my congressional district. It also wraps around the northern edge of Manteca. It goes through Lathrop. The northern edge, basically north of the 205 in Tracy. And then it floats up alongside the mountain range there, the Altamont, where it encompasses the town of Mountain House. It also incorporates Discovery Bay, and then it juts out into the East Bay area with Brentwood, Oakley, and Antioch, and cuts over to Bethel Island and up along the northern ridge all the way up to Galt. The northernmost point of my congressional district is Twin Cities Road. And so it encompasses all of Galt. 3 counties, about 16 cities.
What is the population of your district?
The population of the district is, that's a good question. I know that we have about 3...
Joe, look that up for us, will you? He'll get up his iPad there.
The population of the district, basically the 2 biggest population centers is Stockton, the city of Stockton, and the city of Antioch. So those are the 2 biggest population centers.
Now, I did want to, I had the list here. I wanted to talk about AB 109 and how that assembly bill has affected the recidivism rate or the crime rate itself, especially in Stockton. I mean, that is, front page news a
Absolutely.
lot. And how is that affecting the city? And if elected, how are you going to turn that around and bring Stockton not at number 7? You want it a little bit, further down the line.
Absolutely. The problem with AB 109 is that it is actually there was a federal decision through a federal court that limits the prison populations in California.
State prisons.
State prisons. And so AB 109 came about because of its, to try to clear out the state facilities and move them down to the county facilities. There are some inherent problems with that because the style of facility, first of all, is different. And so the health care for those prisoners is different. The way that they're incarcerated is different. And it puts burdens on the county jails that they never had before, because now they're not just taking county prisoners, but they're also taking state prisoners. And that in and of itself is a problem. So we've been releasing prisoners to stay underneath the cap. That's a problem because of what you just said as far as I always have problems.
Recidivism rate.
Yes.
Yeah. I have to say it really fast or else
That's a
I
tongue
can't
twister.
get through.
So, but that is a problem because people get released from jail and they go back to commit crimes. And right now there aren't a lot of programs available for people that have been just released and trying to re-enter into the workforce. See, AB 109 is really a state program. It's a state assembly bill. It really doesn't have anything to do with the federal government except for the fact that we are releasing people into the mainstream society and they go back to creating, committing crimes all over again. And so what we can do from a federal level is we can assist organizations. In Stockton, there's an organization called HOPE. It's a great program that helps people re-enter the workforce. It provides them with a suit from a men's store in Stockton, and they teach people how to write resumes and to be in interviews, and it's really a good program, and the folks at Hope are very proactive, and so we're trying to get former gang members as mentors within the program. There are a couple of other programs. Victory Outreach is another one. My wife and I have had personal experience with Victory Outreach for over 7 years, so it's not just that I decided to run for Congress, so I better get involved in something. My wife and I have a commitment to help people get back into our society. So we have been committed to a program called Last Chance in Stockton and also with Victory Outreach. And it's people with drug and alcohol addiction problems. They're in recovery and they're needing to get back into the workforce. So that's exactly what we've committed ourselves to do, is to help these folks. And I've got to tell you, we've had a really good result with it. We've been doing it for, like I said, 7 years, and we've helped over 700 men throughout the state. So it's a commitment of my wife's and myself, because we do believe that people don't have that chance, and when you're given that chance, it's amazing to see what happens. I mean, real results take place, and you save lives.
What kind of incentive is the state giving the counties for the AB 109 to bring the incarcerated from the state pen to the county lockup?
Virtually nothing. I mean, maybe a bottle of Advil, would probably be the best thing. The state expects the counties to basically take over the incarceration of these state prisoners with little or no assistance. I have heard that there is a movement afoot to assist the counties with financial stability, but it is a tremendous disadvantage for our county sheriff and for the jail system that he runs. So there has been an incredible amount of stress on the system, and then with the early releases, then you put an incredible stress upon the citizenry, where you have an increased crime rate and bad things happen.
Well, we've heard how you and your wife have impacted the community with what you were doing personally. How, as a congressman, are you going to impact the community to lower that skyrocketing crime rate in the Stockton area? Not just Stockton, but throughout your county, throughout San Joaquin County and District 9.
When I first started in this race, I recognized the two biggest problems in our congressional district were the lack of jobs and the fact that the crime rate is skyrocketing. So I decided to talk with the people that dealt with these problems the most. I've met with nearly every single chief of police in the congressional district and 2 of the 3 county sheriffs. I've had a scheduling conflict going with the Contra Costa County Sheriff for a while now, so but it's my goal to meet with every single senior law enforcement official in the county. And the answer is not a simple one, but it is one that when you look at the actual issues, it's not that complex. It takes engagement. You have to be engaged in problem solving. You have to be engaged in providing solutions and also working as a team. You see, the thing is with the crime problem in this county is that if you have a congressman who's engaged in these issues and bringing solutions to the table, like Gideon 4, which took place in Stockton, that lowered the murder rate by 63% in the first 3 months of 2013. If you have a congressman who's engaged in these issues and fighting the challenges with local law enforcement, you are able to have a better chance at a good result. Unfortunately, we haven't had a congressman that's been engaged.
Well, that kind of brings me to my next question for you, and that is, obviously, there's something going on that's kind of, shall I say, forced you to run. You have been conflicted enough inside to say, okay, I don't want to just be a businessman. I need to run this race. What is it, if you can boil it down to 1 or 2 points, what is it that you go, okay, that's it. I've had enough. I'm going to pull papers.
I was an auxiliary police officer for the Sacramento Police Department, and I saw what crime was like in Sacramento. I was in right off of Broadway in the Miller Park area, and perfect example of gangs and crime in that area. I saw that very same thing happening tenfold in my own city. That was the first thing. The second thing is 29 years of a private small business ownership gave me the opportunity to create jobs, gave me the opportunity to maintain jobs in the toughest of economic situations. The current congressman, he hasn't had that experience. And we can visibly, daily, see the results of that inexperience. He may be a congressman. He may have been a congressman for 4 terms. But unfortunately for us, the ones that live in the district, we find it very, very difficult to deal with these problems when we don't have good leadership, good effective leadership at the top. I can provide that leadership. I do it on a daily basis, and I've done it for 29 years.
Well, we know that being a business owner and being someone who serves in Congress isn't always hand in hand. So how are you going to make that transition from being a businessman to this other world of politics? It's not easy.
It isn't easy. And you know what? I've been learning for the last 11 months while I've been doing this run. And it's been a learning experience as I go along. But my guiding light is my faith, and my guiding light is my family, and getting good input, and learning and talking to people, going out and actually talking with people, kind of like what I was telling you about meeting with law enforcement. You can't learn about solutions. You cannot learn about issues and come up with solutions to those problems if you don't engage yourself in those things. That's how I plan on being a congressman, a good congressman for the 9th Congressional District.
You can't figure out how to find the end if you haven't been there all along to hear all the ingredients of how it got there.
That's right. So, you know, it is a step-by-step process. I like to call it a door-by-door process.
Yeah, because I see you walking.
That's right.
Okay, so how much of your district have you been walking?
We've been covering in in Stockton, and we also have been in the Antioch area. And you know, we're hitting the areas that typically Republicans don't walk in. Mm-hmm. I've been very involved in South Stockton and in Antioch also, two areas that were neglected in the last election.
Tell us your phone number. I see it back here. Go ahead and give us your phone number and your email address. We're not close to closing down yet, but I want people to be able to give you a call.
Absolutely. The phone number in Stockton is at 209-916-4800. And the email address, you can send it. It comes right to my desk. It's info@colangeloforcongress.com.
Okay, so let's see what else is on our list here. I have a big long list for him. What is the difference between state assembly, Congress, and somebody who serves on LAFCO versus city council? Is it a tiered effect, in other words, and Senate, or is it a completely separate branch of the government?
You mentioned about 3 different branches, actually. The state assembly is for the state of California, and in the state of California, of course, there are different assembly districts, just as there are different state senate districts. So that is within the purview of the state of California. With the federal government, there is the United States House of Representatives and the United States Senate. I am running for an office within the United States House of Representatives. LAFCO is an organization that is comprised of mostly county and various cities within that county, and then of course I think the last one you said was City Council.
City Council, yeah.
City Council is obviously a citywide, and there usually are districts within that city council, So you have different districts like District 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. And so those are the different ones. I kind of have an idea of where you're going with this question.
Okay, so, all right, we'll see. If you, okay, I'll write it down and then we'll check our answers later. Why are you running for Congress? Why not run for city council?
Because in Congress, that's where I can make the biggest difference. In Congress, that's where I'm going to
that's a pretty big jump.
Oh, sure it is. But you know what? Let me remind you, the United States House of Representatives was created to be a house of the people. The House of Representatives was created with a 2-year term, primarily to have a fluid exchange of ideas. That's the reason why we have a 2-year term. It was not meant to be a career. And so I'm a believer in the Constitution of the United States. I feel like I will be an excellent defender of the Constitution, and I believe in its tenets that our founding fathers set up the House of Representatives with, and that was to have people represented, people from every congressional district. There is no hierarchy or ascension within our political offices. And so just like any man or woman can run for the presidency of the United States, any woman or man should be able to run for the United States House of Representatives without any precondition. So that's my belief, and I think that we need more people that understand what it's like to fight hand to hand in local combat in business locally, and to take those significant issues that affect every one of our lives and take them to the House of Representatives is very powerful.
So here's the $64,000 question. Once in office, will you continue to listen to the voices of the people who elected you?
Absolutely. First of all, my commitment to voters when they are looking at an alternative on June 3rd is that I, first of all, have a career already. I'm a small business owner, and I will continue to be a small business owner. My family works there at the business, and I plan on returning there after what I have to do after I get done with my job in Congress. Now, my job in Congress is not a career in Congress. So I will listen to all people within my congressional district. And this campaign so far has been very engaging from both parties. Matter of fact, all parties. And I don't think that any one party has the actual solution to the problems that we have in the 9th Congressional District. I think we need to work together. And that's what I've been trying to do, is to build consensus with Democrats, Independents, and Republicans.
Okay, so some people run to win, and some people run to bring awareness. I just need a quick answer, and then we'll go on to the next one. Are you running to win or to bring awareness to the situation?
I'm running to absolutely win.
Okay. If you were to run to bring awareness, you're just out there talking to people, you had to pull papers in order to do that. What would be your number one torch that you're going to carry to the people? Because I believe, how many people are running in that district? 4 or 5?
Well, 4 including the incumbent at this point.
Yeah, so it's going to be, there's a lot of people out there. So if you were to carry that torch, because hearing about you from the interview that we did a few weeks ago and now tonight, it sounds like you're very engaged in the community, and you will continue to be engaged after the election if elected or not. You'll continue what you're already doing. So what do you want to take away from this personally, and what do you want the community to know? Because sometimes when you knock on those doors, you've only got a one-shot deal to talk to people. What is it that you tell them? Let's do that. You're knocking on my door. I open it up. Hi, you're running for Congress. What do you want to tell me?
Well, first of all, I don't use a script, so I mean, it really depends on who answers the door, and if the dog is real close to the screen door. But I have to tell you something. Right now, it's about jobs, and you know, we keep hearing about the unemployment rate going down, down, down. The torch that I would bear is creating more jobs in my community and in other communities within the 9th Congressional District.
Well,
jobs fixes most all of the problems.
Can government create jobs, though?
No. The private sector must create the jobs, but we have to make it attractive. We have to create incentives, and that's one of the reasons why I would be working with local officials to create those incentives, because geographically, the 9th Congressional District is a gem. It is central in the state, and it has excellent transportation modes, especially with the Port of Stockton. So the reasons why people do not move their businesses here and or open up distribution facilities here is because of the fact that we don't have skilled work force, and we also have a high crime rate.
Something else that I've learned recently is that when businesses are looking to an area to move into, to build their business, could be a year or 5 years, they have to plan down the road. They look at the infrastructure, not just for shovel-ready land to build.
Well, that's a term.
But they also look for, as Carmen was saying earlier, continuity. That's a great word. How is the continuity within District 9 as far as those agencies that you have visited and talked with working with one another? Because if I was a business coming into a county or a district, I would want to know, is this a stable environment politically, or is it a hotbed of dissension?
That's a great question. And I got to tell you, you already mentioned one of the organizations, LAFCO, that is one of those unifiers that will continue to exist, and I would support when I am elected. One of the other things that really needs to happen within this congressional district is you need a congressman who is going to engage county supervisors, city council members. You have to be a unifier yourself. That's not been happening. That has not happened under the current congressman's term. And so the aspect of how you could unify the congressional district really is by that individual involvement. It's not something that you can read out of the textbook. It's not a political thing that you can learn from a mentor. It's something that you have to know that you have to rely on your own experience. And that's what I do now as a business owner. I have to do things that I don't normally like to do because my customer is always right. And but I also have to learn. And in order for me to make good decisions, that's part of the challenge, is to learn and then to engage and to unify people. And a political party is not the issue. It is all about how we can create more jobs and how we can create incentives. That's what everything revolves around.
I think that we all can sit back and say what's wrong with the situation, and yeah, we need to change this. But we don't have the answers necessarily. We can see the problem, but we don't know how to get to the solution of that problem all the time. And as someone who talks to a lot of people, I realize that open communication is very important. But when you're talking about District 9, it's huge. So how can you do that? I mean, how are you, one person, going to solve some of the problems that District 9 is facing and has been facing for quite some time?
Absolutely. That's a really good question. And I do have an answer, actually. The problems that are in District 9, I've kind of outlined some of the things that need to be done. But to go into more depth, to make our communities within the district more attractive for businesses to relocate or expand into our area, we need to work with organizations like the San Joaquin Partnership, which is an economic development engine. Mike Amon there, the chairperson there, is unbelievable asset for our region, not just for Stockton, but for areas that are spread far and wide within the congressional district. Ron Addington with the Business Council, and talks about business retention, because it's one thing to go out and say you need to get jobs, but not at the expense of losing jobs. So it is a good balancing act, but you do need to be involved with and I hate the word players, but you do have to be involved with the people that are involved with creating jobs and job retention. That's so important. That's not being done right now. As a matter of fact, the current congressman, up until very recently, had not even met with those individuals that I just mentioned. So if you're not dealing with the people who create jobs and bring jobs into this congressional district, then how can you create jobs? If you're not dealing with the people who fight crime in this congressional district, then how can you fight crime?
Okay, so here's a question that I get asked to ask quite often, and that is, how do you get into office with the help of those players, I'll say it, the people who run the machine, the political machine, without bending so far that you break once you get into office, and then you kowtow to special interests without answering to the people who actually voted for you. It's kind of a paradox. How do you do that?
For most for most politicians, that's very correct. I'm not a politician, and I have never been in office before, and I've never run for office before. All of the money that I generated for my campaign, with the exception of one contribution, has been from individuals, most of which have been under $500. And in a congressional race, that's a tough lift. I'm willing to do that because I don't want to be influenced by those special interests. Now, the one special interest that did support me was my National Association for the American Rental Association. It's my industry. It's the industry that I've been involved in and served on the board of directors with. And they didn't even support me to the maximum allowed by law. But the point I'm trying to make is that I am running a campaign of the people. And I want people just like me to step up. If you look at my Facebook page, you'll see my events and my pleas for contributions have been low dollar amounts. They haven't been the $600, $700 a plate dinners that we've seen in the past.
Actually, you had a fundraiser. Let's see.
That's right.
January 30th. I'm sorry I wasn't able to make that. And
you missed really good ribs.
It was only $25.
$25. And guess what? The next one is $50. It's a March 4th Mardi Gras party. March 4th is significant because it's a Tuesday. It's actually Fat Tuesday. And it's just before we go into the Easter season. And it's an event at French 25 Restaurant, which is a fabulous restaurant downtown. They have French Creole food, and it's going to be a really good time. You got to come down and get your beads.
Well, I have lots of beads, but it's because my husband's a jazz musician. It's
Gotcha.
for no other reason. So anyway.
We're going to have good jazz music, too.
Good, good. Okay, so we have about 5 minutes. Go ahead and tell us a little bit more about where we can find you on the web. You mentioned your Facebook page. What is your Facebook page address?
It is facebook.com/Steve A. Colangelo. That's all one word. That's my Facebook page. You can catch me on Twitter also at twitter.com.
Oh, great. Twitter. Okay.
Yeah, twitter.com/Steve A. Colangelo.
Excellent. Okay, and this is, as I've been holding up here throughout the show, one of your yard signs. So tell us a little bit about that. Where can we get one of those?
You can
actually. Blue. Nice.
That's right. You can actually contact our office at 209-916-4800 and talk to my brother Joe. He is the keeper of the signs. And he'll make sure that you get a yard sign. It'd be nice to get out in front of your neighbors. As you know, it's all about recognition. That is the toughest thing for any candidate, and especially when you're trying to build a name if you've never run for office before. And people are saying they're seeing the signs.
Now, do you have other sized signs besides the standard yard signs?
Right now we have the standard yard signs, plus we have banners. So if you have a fence, like a lot of the people in the agricultural communities, we have these 10-foot long banners. We also have 4-foot by 4-foot banners that you can,
like
tack
with the
on
rivets on.
We do. We have the grommet holes.
Oh, grommet, right?
Yes.
Right.
And so we have 4x4s, 4x10s, and then the lawn signs.
Now, do you charge for your signs when somebody comes by to pick them up? Okay. And how is that paid for? Is that through those contributions?
It is.
Okay. And do you have, is it called 460s? Is that what it's called for when you run for Congress? The financial records of what you have brought in? And
the 460s are, I think that's the number. Actually, that's FPPC. It's for state candidates running for state and local offices. For federal candidates, it's all reported on the Federal Election Commission website, which is fec.gov. And you can navigate actually on that site. It's not a restrictive site. You can actually find out the candidates that are in the congressional race, how much money they've raised, and where the money came from and where it's going to.
That's very important.
Absolutely.
Some people really like to research that and find out who gave to this campaign and gave to that campaign and who got elected and why. Sometimes it comes down to dollars and cents.
Mm-hmm.
Other times it comes down to common sense.
In this election, it's going to be common sense, and it's going to be how long my pair of shoes can hold up, because it's about hard work. It's going to be door to door, like I've said before, and you're not going to see me get into office by sitting back and putting my feet up on the desk. And that's my commitment, is that I'm going to be very engaged in reaching out to people in my congressional district.
Okay, where can we see you walking around the neighborhoods, passing out these walking pieces?
Well, you can call our office. I can give you a heads up and let you know where our next walk is going to be. Once again, the number is 209-916-4800. And I'd love to have you come on and walk with me.
Yeah, I almost forgot to ask.
Sure.
Are you accepting volunteers
Absolutely.
to help you?
As long as you're not with one of my opponent's campaigns, I'd love to have you on a walk.
I've heard of that happening.
It has. And you know, I don't hide anything. If one of my opponents wanted to ask me questions, have at it. I answer all questions, and I don't have anything to not tell my voters. The voters that are going to be voting for me in this election are going to be educated on the real issues, and they're going to hear the real story from me. They're not going to hear a candy coat type of thing. People hear in the newspapers right now about our reduced crime rate, our reduced unemployment rate. I don't know what streets they drive down, but we have a significant problem in this district.
Well, thank you for joining me this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and we'll see if we can get this up on YouTube.
Okay, when are you going to do the tough questions?
Okay, next time. I promise. I promise.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.